Mysteries and Mimosas. I'm Max, your host for today's episode, and with me is your co-host and my wonderful ball of sunshine, Aria.
Thank you, Max. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special Mystery Monday edition of Mysteries and Mimosas. Today we'll be taking a closer look at a lesser-known case with limited information available. While these episodes may be shorter in length, they're just as significant as our full Thursday episodes. We believe every case is important and deserves attention, and our Monday episodes are a chance to shine a spotlight on stories you might not have heard before.
Exactly. Mystery Monday episodes may be shorter, but they're just as important as all the other episodes we cover. Through these cases, we hope to bring awareness to these stories and give a voice to those who might not otherwise be heard. We really appreciate your support by listening to us every week, and if you're enjoying what you're hearing, we'd love it if you would take a moment to help us out by doing a few simple things. First, rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your positive feedback helps us reach more listeners. And second, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Mysteries and Mimosas Podcast, and we would love it if you would join our Discord server to directly interact with us and other listeners. You can discuss the cases we cover, exchange ideas, and even make episode suggestions.
Before we get started, we have a special segment called Pet of the Week. We like to take a break from the mystery cases and feature a cute or interesting photo of a pet that our listeners have shared with us. This week's Pet of the Week comes to us from listener Emily. She sent us a picture of her adorable dog, Rocky. We're told that Rocky loves getting ear scratches, enjoys treats, and loves running around the backyard while letting out some cheerful barks. So thank you, Rocky, for bringing us this week's Mystery Monday episode. If you'd like to have your pet featured as our Pet of the Week, please send us an email with a picture and a short description about your furry friend. We would love to feature your pet on the podcast and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Aria, and thank you, Emily, for sharing Rocky with us for this week's Pet of the Week. And really, Emily, thank you for your support. Week after week, she comments, she likes our stuff, she's engaging, and we really appreciate her support. So thanks, Emily. Now let's get into the mysterious case of Jennifer Lee Martin. On June 28th of 1987, Jennifer Lee Martin went missing from Reno, Nevada. She was just 11 years old at the time of her disappearance, and the details surrounding her case remain a mystery to this day. So today we're going to be talking about the details surrounding her disappearance, the efforts made to search for her, and the impact her case had on her family and the community. We're also going to discuss some theories about what might have happened to her since she went missing over 3 decades ago. It's a long time.
Yeah.
So Jennifer was born on January 14th of 1976 to her parents Wesley and Betty Martin. Married for 22 years, Wesley and Betty relocated to Reno, Nevada in 1986 from Clearwater, Florida. Wesley and Betty had 2 other kids at the time, Jennifer's older sister Colleen and older brother Charles. At the time of her disappearance, the Martin family was living in a mobile home park in an area of Reno known as Lemon Valley. Lemon Valley is a neighborhood in northern Washoe County. It's located at the southern end of Mount Rose Highway and the northern end of the Pyramid Highway. It's primarily made up of hilly and mountainous terrain, and it's located in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. It contains a lot of rolling hills, canyons, and desert landscape, most of which is covered in sagebrush. Lemon Valley also has some streams and creeks, but those water sources, they kind of tend to dry up during the region's drier seasons. So if you can imagine, it's real hot. You know, it's essentially the desert of Nevada. But the neighborhood in Lemon Valley consists of mobile home parks and single-family homes on large lots, so there's a lot of open space there. The mobile home park where the Martins lived was located on West Surge Street near Lemon Drive, which is just north of Highway 395. It's super close to a pretty busy highway. In 1987, the mobile home park contained anywhere from, I would say, 40 to 60 mobile homes, and it was situated very close to a 7-Eleven convenience store. So on June 28th at about 3 p.m., Jennifer left her house with no shoes, wearing a grayish-purple sweater dress. Jennifer was headed to the 7-Eleven to get soda, but she never made it home.
I guess it was close enough that she felt comfortable walking there with no shoes. I would think it would be hot. It's Nevada in June. It gets really hot there. Like, you'd think her feet would burn.
Well, the interesting thing about where they live, it's super close. I mean, on the map, it's like literally, I mean, you could see the 7-Eleven from her backyard. I mean, it's just a left out of the house and a left on the main road there, and you're at the 7-Eleven. And all of that trailer park area, including the road, which Jennifer would have traveled to the 7-Eleven, it's all dirt. So it's probably not as hot on her feet as it would be if you're walking on asphalt, which I think is very important in this case to remember.
Okay.
So it's really interesting that an 11-year-old girl would come missing so close to home.
Yeah, that's really close. That had to be either a very opportunistic person if she was abducted, to happen upon her short walk between her house and the 7-Eleven, or somebody watching her, perhaps.
Right, and I can't help but wonder if she was abducted by someone so close to the house because, again, even though you have this vast area of desert landscape, she's not going to be traveling into this wilderness with no shoes on.
Right. She's probably has a goal. She's going straight to 7-Eleven, getting a soda, and coming home. It sounds like maybe this is a regular thing for her. So,
Exactly, yeah. And so about 20 minutes passed, and with no signs of Jennifer, her brother headed over to the 7-Eleven to look for his sister, but Jennifer was nowhere to be found.
so it's only about a 20-minute time span as well. So not only was she really close to her house, it all happened pretty quickly.
Oh, very quickly, yeah. And according to the 7-Eleven store clerk, Jennifer made it to the convenience store. She purchased a 6-pack of Coke and a candy bar, and then she left. In fact, the store clerk turned out to be a credible witness because she knew Jennifer as a regular customer. It wasn't uncommon for Jennifer to walk to the 7-Eleven for snacks and drinks because she lived just a stone's throw away. I mean, it's basically right in her backyard.
Yeah, and she's on summer break at this point, so she's probably making this trip regularly.
Yeah, regularly. I mean, I think as a parent, if I had a 7-Eleven that was less than a block away, I would feel comfortable letting my 11-year-old go there alone. I mean, I guess as a parent, you just think, well, what could happen? She's right here.
Right.
It's not like she's traveling miles.
Exactly.
So more witnesses came forward saying they saw Jennifer at the entrance to the trailer park carrying a sack, which I think is a clear indication that she was seen by these witnesses after leaving the 7-Eleven store. And not only that, but I also think, one of the theories is that she may have ventured off into the desert and got lost or, something nefarious happened to her in the wilderness. But I really don't see that happening with her again being barefoot and now she's carrying a 6-pack of soda.
Right. And, within 20 minutes, her brother goes looking for her. So if she's on foot, I would imagine he would have been able to locate her if she's just walking around somewhere out there. But based on witness statements, seeing her at the entrance to the neighborhood with that sack, indicating that she probably was on her way back from the 7-Eleven, that takes that time span and actually narrows it even further. Because,
Right.
She's already taken part of that 20 minutes has already been spent with her going to the store, picking up her purchases, paying for them, and leaving. And she's almost all the way back home at this point. So whatever happened to her, it happened pretty quickly, I would imagine, before her brother started looking for her.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And the information in this case is extremely limited, making it a very difficult task for police to locate Jennifer. But it wasn't for lack of trying. In the initial stages of the investigation, police conducted extensive searches in the area surrounding Jennifer's home, as well as nearby areas of the desert. They searched vacant homes, garages, and other locations that could possibly be used as a temporary shelter or hiding place. But they never found anything. The police also followed up on numerous tips and leads provided by the public. One of the most promising leads police followed included a search warrant executed at the home of a convicted sex offender. So after hearing about Jennifer's disappearance, 3 women came forward and reported a really strange encounter they had with a man on the same day that Jennifer was reported missing. So remember, Jennifer was last seen around 3 o'clock p.m. by the store clerk, right? So according to these women, at about 2:30 p.m., a man pulled up beside them in a pickup truck and stared at them as they drove into a warehouse market. The women reported that the man followed them to 3 different parking places and even reached for the door of their car. When the driver of the car pushed the button to lock the car, back then it was pretty new, the electronic locks.
Yeah.
Not every car had them, but this car did. And so she hit the electronic locks or the electric locks to lock the car, and the man drove away. So,
wow. Was that in the same area then as the 7-Eleven in the neighborhood?
I wasn't able to find out exactly where that happened. I mean, it is definitely in the same vicinity because it was definitely worth noting in this investigation. But no, it wasn't in the 7-Eleven parking lot by any means. So after hearing about Jennifer's disappearance, two of the women came forward and reported their strange encounter. Police showed them a series of photographs of registered sex offenders, and both of these women positively identified one of them, stating that, hey, this is the man that was harassing us. As you can imagine, this is not enough information for police to get a search warrant for this person's house related to Jennifer's case.
Well, I mean, yeah, it rises to the level of reasonable suspicion, maybe, right? Like, hey, this is in the same area around the same time that Jennifer goes missing. But yeah, there's nothing directly tying this person to Jennifer. So yeah, I wouldn't imagine that would rise to the level of the probable cause needed to get a warrant at this point.
Yeah, it is important to mention that for people that may not know, police can't just get a warrant because they think that something might be connected, right? I mean, what you're talking about is reasonable suspicion. It's a much lower burden of proof than probable cause, which means, hey, I have facts and information to support why I'm searching a specific location, and I have facts and information to support, a very reasonable belief that the item I'm searching for is going to be in that location. Again, some people struggle, even new police officers, I think, sometimes struggle with what is the difference between reasonable suspicion, probable cause. And we have a whole bunch of burdens of proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have at the lowest level, you have preponderance of evidence, which means it more than likely happened, more likely than not. Then you have reasonable suspicion and probable cause and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And it all becomes very confusing for people who aren't in this world of law enforcement or law.
Yeah.
So I think you have a very good example on how to kind of differentiate and how to really kind of dumb it down for somebody that might not know what the difference is or has even heard of this.
So I like to use the example of you see smoke maybe above the tree line. So reasonable suspicion would tell you that, okay, there's a fire somewhere. I see the smoke. So you get closer and you actually see flames coming above that tree line. You know that area is in a neighborhood. So now, seeing the flames, knowing that there's homes there, you have your probable cause to say, okay, there's a home, at least one home on fire. That's your probable cause. And then you get closer and you see, yes, there are several homes actually engulfed in flames. And that's your observation, right? You're seeing it. That's beyond a reasonable doubt. You know there are homes on fire at that point.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. And when we apply that to criminal law, in this case, you have two women that say, hey, here's this creepy guy that was, staring at us, tried to get into our car, whatever. Not enough for a search warrant, right? All that is like, wow, that's a really weird coincidence to Jennifer's disappearance. And then you have these women saying, oh, no, they both independently identify him based on a sex offender lineup or, photographs that they were shown. So if we take it a step further here, what happened is after they gave their statements, they provided a description of the suspect's truck, and police learned that the person who they identified in the photos owned a truck that matched the description. So we're getting closer to that probable cause threshold where they can get a warrant, but I don't think we're still there yet, because how do you connect it to Jennifer's disappearance or anything related to 7-Eleven or the area or anything to say, hey, this guy might or most likely, more likely has something to do with it?
Right. I think if you had more information and you had, say, maybe the store clerk or another independent witness that says, hey, I saw this truck outside when Jennifer left the store, and then they say, okay, that truck matches the description, I think then you're probably where you need to be for a warrant at that point.
Well, that's sort of what happened. So in addition to what was reported by these women, another independent witness came forward and reported seeing a pickup truck with the same description of that of the sex offender's truck on the dirt road near the 7-Eleven between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. on the day Jennifer disappeared. Now we have three independent witnesses now, right? Two of which are saying, hey, there's this creepy guy at the store who tried to get into our car. They've identified him as a known sex offender. They said the description of his truck actually matches the description of the same truck that person owns. And now you have a third independent witness saying, hey, there was a truck here, and gives the same description given by the women. So now police are getting that probable cause they need to execute the warrant. So the witness reported that the driver of the truck left the area so fast that the wheels threw rocks in the air. The witness reportedly followed the truck to a shopping center and then to the Lumber Pine Apartments before losing sight of it. So not only does he see the truck that matches the description of the other one that we talked about, but this is seen leaving the scene at a high rate of speed. Now we have probable cause to believe, hey, this truck is involved. We need to act fast and execute the search warrant, which is what they did. Police searched the man's home and processed the man's truck at a crime lab. However, despite their efforts, the man was never charged or arrested, and the search warrant didn't provide any clues to help police locate Jennifer. Though the sex offender in this case has not been publicly identified, police said he was once convicted of indecent exposure in Reno and had various sex offenses in California. Even though this lead yielded no information to locate Jennifer, detectives continued to diligently work on her case. Detectives contacted past friends of the family looking for potential suspects. They combed through the records of parole and probation offenders with past sex offenses living in the area, and they even went through the family's call log records, hoping to find any information to lead them to even a phone call that might give them a clue about Jennifer's whereabouts. Detectives continued to follow up on leads that poured in across the country, but nothing ever panned out to help locate Jennifer. Police followed up on anonymous tips about a gravesite near the Martins' home, which I thought was really interesting. So police were able to locate this gravesite and process the scene, only to discover that the gravesite contained several pornographic magazines. There were also other items found, such as beer bottles, littered around the grave. It was initially assumed that the grave was dug to bury a dog, but the presence of the magazines and the other items led the investigators to believe that it might have once been used for another reason, but still, nothing led to the discovery of Jennifer. It's weird though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird.
So one law enforcement officer deeply involved in this case is Sergeant Dixon, who was the lead investigator in another missing child case from 1983. In that case, 10-year-old Anthony Franco was last seen walking to his school in the early morning hours of May 8th in Lemon Valley. At the time of his disappearance, Tony lived with his mother and his stepfather only about a half a mile away from his school, which coincidentally is the same school that Jennifer was to attend.
Interesting. Okay.
Although there is no evidence or information linking the two of these cases together, both cases have striking similarities. Tony was only 10 years old at the time of his disappearance, and Jennifer was 11. Both children were missing less than 5 years apart from the same area of Lemon Valley in Reno.
That's interesting. I wonder if the sex offender that they executed the search warrant on was living in the area at the time that Tony went missing.
That's a really curious thought. I had thought about that, but of course I have no way of verifying that. But I bet you anything the police pondered that question.
I'm sure, yeah.
So like Jennifer's case, police received countless tips from various states across the country, but nothing ever brought any results in Tony's case. And actually, we're going to do Tony's case next week on Mystery Monday, because it also is very interesting, and there are some similarities here that we can discuss. So the most recent lead explored by police in Jennifer's case is that of an ex-priest by the name of Stephen Kiesel, who was convicted of sexually abusing multiple children in the 70s and 80s. In 2002, police executed a search warrant at Kiesel's home in Truckee, California, searching for another different missing child by the name of Amber Schwartz Garcia. Apparently, Amber lived only 14 houses away from Kiesel when she was reported missing. So I really don't know that they had any information from Jennifer's case, or even Tony's case for that matter, to support the warrant to support the information for the warrant that they executed at Stephen's house, or if they were just hopeful that they were going to find Amber and also these other two children, Jennifer and Tony. So, but that was the latest development in this case. So that was in 2002.
And I guess they didn't find anything.
No, they didn't find anything. All three of the cases are still unsolved: Tony's, Amber's, and Jennifer's. Amber actually was missing from California. She wasn't missing from Reno, but it is still in pretty close proximity to each other.
Okay.
The geographical region of the
Yeah.
United States, so to speak. So Jennifer's disappearance has left a lasting impact on her family and her community. Her absence is deeply felt, and her loved ones continue to live with the unknown. Not only did Jennifer's disappearance affect her family members, but it took a toll on the community. Many people, still today even, including her family, they continue to hold out hope that Jennifer will be found alive and well. So today, Jennifer's sister Colleen refuses to give up hope that she will be reunited with Jennifer. There's no doubt in Colleen's mind that Jennifer is still alive today. In fact, Colleen still lives at the same house by that 7-Eleven. And she still keeps the same phone number from 1987 just in case it's the only thing that Jennifer has been holding on to all these years. Isn't that
Wow.
wild?
That is. I think that says a lot, right, about the impact that these types of cases have on the family, right? Her sister holds out so much hope that her sister is still alive that she hasn't even moved from her childhood home in what, three decades? Over
Yeah,
3 decades?
over 3 decades.
Yeah. I think when we think about these cases, we have the immediate victim who is Jennifer, right? But then you have her family, and then that ripple effect that we talk about, it just goes beyond that into the entire community, especially if it's a small, tight knit community like this one sounds like it kind of is in that general area, the Lemon Valley. Cases like these stick with people for years to come. And so I think it's just important to remember the impact that we have every day on people, right? Whether it's positive or negative, and just the extreme negative impacts that somebody's choice to abduct a child has, forever. It's never going to end, right? That family, even if they find out what happened to Jennifer, whether she's still alive, which of course is what we hope, but even if she's not, and they find out what happened to her and they can put her to rest or whatever that looks like for them, there's no closure there. Maybe they find whatever it was they're looking for to move forward from it, but it's always going to impact them forever. And their children and their children's children, it goes on for generations.
Yeah, actually, I saw something on the internet. I can't remember where I saw it now, but even Colleen has a daughter apparently that looks really closely to that of Jennifer, and she was talking about how, earlier on in this event, how she'd be at the grocery store and people would come up and tell her daughter, "Your mother has been looking for you," because she just looked so closely to that of Jennifer. And, that's just got to be very, very impactful for the family as well. But, just to hold on hope and just to say, because certainly Colleen could move anywhere. She can go anywhere that she wants, but she chooses to stay in that house because she chooses to not let go of what she remembers from 1987.
Yeah, and that's a lifelong thing for her. And not only does she choose to stay there in hopes that her sister will remember, okay, that was my house, this is my phone number, but she chooses to live every day in that town where people recognize that her daughter looks like her sister. That's reliving that trauma every time someone says that. They don't obviously probably mean to do that, but that has to be traumatic for her every time she has to hear that, because it just brings her back to that place of, oh, my sister's gone. She's been gone for over 3 decades and I don't know where she's at or what's happened to her. So it kind of has to reopen that every time. But she chooses to stay there just in case.
Yeah, I could see it going either way too. I mean, either it's traumatic to open those wounds when her daughter reminds her of her sister, or it could also be therapeutic in such a sense that she feels as though she has a piece of her sister still with her in the form of her daughter.
That's true.
So, I guess it's really all about your perspective
It is.
and how you handle grief and how you handle trauma.
That's why when we talk about grief and trauma, it's always important to remember that everybody handles it differently, right? It's so individualized. What might be traumatic for one person doesn't necessarily mean that it is for another, and vice versa.
That's a good lesson. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So at the time of her disappearance, Jennifer was 11 years old. She had brown hair and blue eyes. Jennifer had freckles on her face. She had 2 small hairline scars on the underside of her chin and a star-shaped scar on the inside of her upper right arm. Jennifer also had several white bumps on her back and a coffee stain style birthmark on her upper right hip. Jennifer's ears were also pierced. So, it's important because you might know somebody. I mean, because it's very likely that she is still alive today. I mean, we had that one case that was so popular,
J.C. Dugard.
J.C. Dugard, where she lived with her captor for decades.
Yes.
And
exactly.
it is entirely possible for that to be the case with Jennifer. And so it might even be, it could be somebody who knows someone who has these characteristics. It could be somebody that sees these characteristics in themselves, like that star-shaped scar. So if you have any information, it would be important to pass that along. So if someone is listening and wants to provide information, who can they call?
If you have any information about Jennifer Martin's disappearance or her whereabouts, you're encouraged to contact the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and that number is 775-328-3001. Or if you wish to remain anonymous, you can reach out to us by emailing us at mysteriesandmimosas@gmail.com, or you can send us a chat through our website, mysteriesandmimosas.net.
All right, before we move on and close this thing out, I just have one question. Like, who buries porn magazines in the desert?
Right, yeah.
And why did it get reported as a grave?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe somebody saw freshly dug up earth, and so they thought, oh, it looks like a gravesite. So I can maybe understand that. But if you need to get rid of your pornographic magazines because, you're going to get in trouble or something, why not just go dump them in a trash somewhere? Or, I don't know. But why are you going to dig a hole and bury them in the desert? That's weird.
Yeah, it is very weird. And, this is 1987, so it's not like people had internet. Nowadays everybody has those images at the tips of their fingers. They could just clear their browsing history. I mean, that's basically like the 2024 version of a porn grave. So I guess it makes sense that you would want to destroy your porn magazines so that, probably mom didn't catch you with them or something in your bedroom. I don't know.
Yeah, but go dump them in a dumpster in an alley or something. I don't know.
There's a 7-Eleven right there. Throw them in the trash.
Exactly. I mean, Again, I have no idea. I've never had to hide my porn magazines, so I don't know.
Do you have porn magazines?
No.
Why do you say you've never had to hide your porn magazines?
Well, I've never had to hide porn magazines, is what I meant.
Oh, okay. Because
my God.
I was just making sure that we're on the same page. Should I be looking somewhere in the house for these magazines?
No.
No? Okay.
If you see any freshly dug up earth in the backyard, though,
I'll go look for the porno.
There.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay.
Okay, anyway. Not to make light of the situation, but, what a weirdo.
Yeah, that's weird.
Stop burying your porn. Throw it away like a normal human being.
Right, be normal. Just go throw it in a dumpster. It's fine.
I'm just going to add a fictitious element to this. I'm just going to, say, please learn that the porn magazines were stolen from the 7-Eleven. Okay, that didn't happen. Totally kidding. But it sounded good, though, right?
It did.
Yeah. So
it could be another Mystery Monday case.
The mysterious porn grave?
Yeah. The stolen pornographic magazines.
I think we'll go ahead and table that idea. But getting back to the seriousness of everything here, if you have any information, please say something. If you see something, say something, because together we can bring closure to Jennifer's case and support the Martin family in their search for answers.
And as we close this one out, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show. Your support helps us reach more listeners and helps our podcast grow. In the meantime, join us as we raise our glasses to Jennifer Lee Martin. Cheers.
Cheers.